So guys, welcome to Newswave. Now there's a whole bunch of stuff to talk about today, but first I wanted to say if you want to discuss anything we talk about in this video here in a little more structured format than what we have down in the comments, head on over to the SpawnWave Reddit. It's a subreddit for everyone here to kind of talk about all the subjects talk about on the show. And that is, of course, reddit.com/r/SpawnWave. And with that, guys, let's get started. So the biggest news of the day is by far Darksiders 3 has finally been announced. And it was kind of funny the way it happened. So in the morning, we get a leak on Amazon about Darksiders 3, how it's coming to the PS4, the Xbox One, and the PC. And it was certainly not supposed to go up because the way this was going to work, apparently, after we saw all the events unfold, was that IGN was going to break the news in their IGN first. So what IGN does is they go out, they get, I guess, developers and publishers to announce stuff through IGN. So they get the exclusive, I guess, scoop, you'd say, before everyone else just picks it up. They will have their name all over the trailer and everything, watermarks. Anyway, we now know that Darksiders 3 is real. It's coming. It's not till next year, 2018. So it's a little ways away. PS4, Xbox One, PC all supported. Nothing about the Switch, but at this point, it's so far away, who knows? Maybe it's added on later. It's hard to say at this point. We just know those three systems or platforms at least are supported. And they released a full trailer for it. It looked really cool. So it's going to follow one of the horsemen by the name of Fury, who is actually, I guess, a woman. And it is going to follow her trip through, I guess, trying to free War. There's, of course, a couple different horsemen at this point. They have 4, with the last one left who is Strife. So we have War, Death we played as in the second one, and now Fury. I assume Strife is being held off for Darksiders 4, whenever that comes out, considering we still have to wait at least a year for this one to come out. But it looks pretty cool. Fury has a full, fire whip and then a claw. The whip looks like a really cool addition to Darksiders. If you have not played any of the Darksiders, I would go check them out. The first one I really liked. The second one was okay. I think the second one got a little too complicated with the weapon stats and everything. I really preferred the simplistic nature of the first one. And I'm not saying simplistic be bad. I just think it was a lot more fun because it actually kind of mimics almost like a Zelda type of setup where you go in, you have a dungeon, you get the weapon from the dungeon, you use that to beat the boss, and then you move on. It was very similar to that. So if you haven't played them, they're pretty cheap. They're on the computer, and they're, of course, releasing the remastered edition on the Wii U, strangely, and then the second one, of course, is there as well. So I would check them out. If you have, of course, 360 or PS3, they are there as well, or just go download it on Steam. Now, historically, THQ Nordic has had a pretty good relationship with Nintendo, so I was a little surprised to not see it on the Switch as an announcement. Again, I would probably get it on the PS4 or the PC, but you know what? The more consoles, obviously, the better at that point, and the Switch gives us that interesting idea of being able to move around with our game if we want to, or take it with us wherever we go. I would not rule it out 100% because, 1, there's still a ton of time left, and 2, their relationship's been pretty good, and I think what everyone's waiting for, including THQ, is to see if the Switch is completely worth it for them to develop for, and that's going to kind of roll into our next topic. So what we have now found out, just after, of course, all the fiscal release for all of the financials and everything, Nintendo talks about releasing 10 million more Switches. That's not counting the 2.74, so that would get it very close to the Wii U's numbers by the end of the fiscal year. What they're trying to say is they will get to nearly 13 million is what their plans are now. Could be more. If it gets more demanding, they could probably up production further. I wouldn't get too crazy, though, obviously, at this point, because there is a checks and balance system where you want to produce so much, but you want to make sure they all sell. You don't want to produce a surplus of them and actually have systems sit around. Right now, that does not look to be the case. However, they had some interesting stuff to kind of talk to us about with investors. And during that investor briefing, they had an interesting statement that kind of shows what their strategy here is that maybe is a little different from what they had in the past. Shipping 10 million hardware units this fiscal year as planned will give publishers and the rest of our business partners a sense that the future of the Nintendo Switch is more promising. I assume this is a statement kind of pointing at the Wii U's sales and the Wii U's life, which was not good, obviously. I mean, if you get to 13 million units after 4 years on the market, it's not good. That's probably why a lot of people left it in terms of support, and it just was not interesting to them since at that time the PS4 and the Xbox One were out. They were the new hot thing, and really the PS4 sold more than the Wii U did in the PS4's first year by a good bit. And this is exactly what Nintendo needs to do. They need to build confidence from developers everywhere, show that there are enough Switch units out there for it to make sense for them to develop for it, because of course, the bigger your user base, the more chance it is for a developer to put a game out and make money from it. That's the way it's pretty much always worked. The bigger user base generally gets the third-party support, or at least more support, with chances on games. So the PS2 had a ton of games. The Wii had a lot of games, which, let's be honest, a good bit of it was shovelware, but they still made it because the install base was so large. So this makes sense. It's good for Nintendo to take a shot here, get as many out there as they can. The demand's there. The games are coming, at least from them and some of their close partners. I think at this point, they're just trying to entice third parties for upcoming games, definitely for games coming out next year. You guys remember how we had that Rainway app, the one that was going to promise us streaming through our browser for systems like the Xbox One, our computer, and the Switch, strangely? Well, I think a lot of us were kind of confused about that because we hadn't heard anything from Nintendo, and there wasn't much from them in terms of how they were going to make that happen. It was very radio silent after we started asking questions, sending tweets and emails. Well, we got something finally on their Twitter regarding the Nintendo compatibility. We're waiting to hear back from Nintendo before we give any updates on a Switch launch date. Thank you for your patience and support. So they don't have Nintendo's permission as of now. They are still waiting to hear back from Nintendo for support. Do I think they're going to get it? Probably not, to be completely honest with you guys, but it runs in a web browser, which is interesting. I'm not really sure why they would need Nintendo's permission heavily, because people will still probably tunnel their way to this and make it kind of work on the Switch. It's hard to say how well the Switch would work. I think it would work obviously better if it was developed specifically for it through an eShop app, but we're going to have to wait for Nintendo. I don't think Nintendo is going to push this through, like I said, because then it will give users options to play things other than Nintendo's closed ecosystem with their third parties. It could potentially damage their sales through that. I know a lot of people will say, well, it's not going to be the vast majority. It'll still be some. Really, at this point, every Switch customer is key for Nintendo right now because of how badly the Wii U did. They need to make sure the Switch is locked down. If the Switch ever gets hacked or any kind of competition comes from outside sources like a streaming Steam computer, then yeah, that's going to affect sales in some way, or it could at least put third parties off. I don't think this will go through, but who knows? Maybe Nintendo's turned a new leaf. I doubt it. And oh man, if this Mario and Rabbids rumors, if these things get any bigger, the whole Mario and Raving Rabbids crossover RPG, for these rumors getting bigger, they might as well just announce it. I mean, come on. So many people have talked about it, and now Kotaku is jumping in on the mix and is pretty much saying, yes, it's real and it's coming soon. So how would they know this is happening? Well, according to Kotaku, this is what they're claiming, of course, they have had assets sent to them from apparently a very reliable source that is also corroborating all of the rumors and reports we're getting from people like Laura Kate Dale and Emily Rogers, that this game is happening. Pretty much everything we've heard of from this, where it's going to have 8 playable characters, it's going to be kind of like an RPG with a goofy sense of humor, it's going to have like turn-based like fighting and everything, a lot of weird stuff, and including Mario having a ray gun, but it looks like it's happening. This is, of course, again, not from Nintendo. It's from another source, but Kotaku is pretty much putting, what I could tell, some of their website credibility on the line here, so I would assume they would not do this if they did not believe their source. At least 100%, I would assume. But yes, they said this is happening. They're expecting it in like August or September, possibly an E3 announcement, maybe a direct before E3 to show it off. It's going to be Ubisoft. And what's interesting here, the thing that I'm really like surprised about, it's going to use their Snowdrop engine. The Snowdrop engine is a proprietary engine that Ubisoft has created, and they made it specifically for The Division and South Park. And now, if the Switch can run that engine and run it okay, or at least well with this game, there's a chance, like a very slim chance here, I don't want to say a big chance, but there's a chance that South Park maybe comes over to it, because this might be a way for them to test this Snowdrop engine, because I could tell you now, if they're using Mario and stuff, Nintendo is at least helping fund some of this, especially since the Switch is still kind of a, I don't want to say a wild card, but definitely a chance for Ubisoft to take with Nintendo probably backing them. I mean, this would have had to have started in development a while ago. Remember when we heard these rumors? We heard these rumors before the Switch even came out, like, this was like in December or something. So it's been a while since we've heard this, and I have to imagine this might be a little audition for the Snowdrop engine to see how well it runs on this handheld device. Either way, it seems pretty clear that this game is real, or it's one of the best hoax rumors I've ever seen. Either way, I would expect Nintendo to address this either direct before E3 or at E3 itself. And the last bit of news, guys, comes from Nintendo themselves, and they are saying, apparently to investors, that they want the Switch to sell as well as the Wii did. And I've already seen a lot of people talk about this, and I think they're taking kind of out of context. So what's happening here is Nintendo is talking to their investors specifically, and obviously third-party developers, because they need to build confidence in them. They don't want them to think that they are going to slowly give up on the system, kind of like they did with the Wii U. Let's face it, there were 6-7 months where nothing would come out for the Wii U, And I think they're trying to let third parties know that they are serious about this system. They understand the falls that the Wii U had because there were some problems with the Wii U. I think they're telling them, look, we understand. We have a full new chipset that is super compatible. It supports Unreal, Vulkan, NVN, everything that you guys need to develop games for. It is there. Not only that, we are producing a ton of units this year, and we are shooting for the 100 million user base that the Wii had. Will it get there? Probably not. I think that would be very, very hard. Gaming is not at all like it used to be, and the Wii attracted a much broader audience than what the Switch does. I mean, like I said, grandparents were buying the Wii to play bowling, and I don't think you're going to get there. I mean, the PS4 has done nothing but sell like gangbusters, and it's only at 60 million. It still needs to go another 40 million before it gets to 100 million units. So I think it'll be tough. I don't think it'll get there, but that doesn't matter. If it can get to 50 or 60 million, for example, in its lifetime, it is a clear-cut success over the Wii U, and that's only going to build on their Switch brand as they go forward. So, again, this is not them literally saying it's going to sell as much as the Wii. It's just them saying we're aspiring, we're all in with the Switch, and we are going to push as many out the door as we can, and we're going to give you guys the third-party support that you need by putting these systems out. Because trust me, the investors have to be looking at the third-party support as well, and I think Nintendo wants that third-party support. Build a good user base, and third parties will have no choice but to look at the Switch and say, yeah, we'll move some stuff over. And that's it for Newswave today, guys. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me know what you think about anything we talked about today, whether it's Darksiders 3, maybe you're excited like I am. I really like the first one. Second one was okay, but I like the look of the third one, mostly because it looks different from the other two, with a really unique character compared to the others. I really like the idea of the whip, and I think the story could probably go in a pretty cool direction with this character. Also, let me know what you think about the Rainway app, because I have a feeling it's probably not coming to the Switch because Nintendo will probably block it, but hey, who knows, right? That's it for now, guys. I will see you next time.